A warm welcome, David Fitzpatrick, to Altrincham Football Club. You've just signed for the club, David. We're about, a fortnight into pre-season training. You've had 45 minutes of action out in the middle, and you've got a place in the squad, so you must have done something right. How do you view what's happened so far?
Yeah, I spoke to the gaffer a couple of weeks ago. He seemed really keen to get me on board. He asked me to come for a chat. I enjoyed it, and then he asked me to come in and train. And straight away, I just seemed to click with the squad, so it was pretty straightforward from there.
And you enjoyed the 45 minutes action on Saturday, I guess?
Yeah, it seems like a while since I played, so it's good to get back out there, and any minutes under my belt's good.
And what do you think overall of the game, David? Because we were thinking that first game in pre-season, there's a bit of rust perhaps, and it takes a bit of time for the players to get back into the stride. But the lads, yourself included, seem to kind of really hit the ground running.
Yeah, you would have expected us to start slow, but I think it was the opposite way around. I think for a good 25-30 minutes we started really well before some mistakes started to creep in, maybe tiredness, physically and mentally, but I thought we started really well.
Now, you were kind of listed officially as a trialist, but you're not exactly like a young lad who's sort of having to make an impression on the manager. You've got quite a pedigree. You've been around, you've got bags of experience, haven't you?
Yeah, I played the last few years in the league, but I've played a lot of football in the National League. So I know the league well. I've got promotion out of this league. So yeah, a lot of experience, a lot of games under my belt.
And that started out, of course, at Northwich Vicks. And I think, was there not a familiar face there, the player you probably kindly describe as at the veteran stage of his career, who's knocking about here these days?
Yeah, sort of. It's mad that we're going to be linked up again together, because he was towards the end of his career, I was towards the start, and funny enough, I was playing in a three-man midfield with him. But yeah, he was good to play alongside.
I mean, what did you think at the time? Did you think, blimey, if this bloke's getting a game, we've all got a chance? Or did you actually think, well, actually, he's not bad?
Well, he was good. He was a good player, obviously, but he was very quiet. He just played a lot of sideways passes, kept it simple. But yeah, he just did the dirty work, really.
So you're surprised he's barking out the orders now, alongside Phil Parkinson?
Yeah.
That's interesting you say you played in a three-man midfield, because we're thinking of you arriving here as a left-back. You're quite adaptable in that way, then, are you?
I think I was back then. I think I'm definitely more of a left-back now. It was just how it was at Northwich. We just played a certain formation, and the manager tried me now.
We probably won't dwell on Northwich Vicks too much, but we have to say, before you moved on from there, you made your mark in particular in a Cheshire Senior Cup final, I think, didn't you, against Altrincham?
Yeah.
2-0 brackets Fitzpatrick too. But
well, I think I started that game at left back, and then there was an injury, and it forced me further forward to left midfield. And yeah, it seems a long time ago now, but at the time, obviously, it was a big moment for me.
What are your memory of the goals, David? Because I managed to dig up a Manchester News report of the game online, and there were certainly complimentary about both goals, but one in particular, a bit of a solo run.
Yeah, I can't really remember them that well. I remember curling one left-footed, kind of towards the top corner-ish. But yeah, it's a long time ago.
Yeah, but it sounded like you were the star man on the night. You obviously moved on from there. It sounded quite interesting around about 2013, 2014, where according to online, just doing a little bit of research, it sounded like you were picking up England's C caps and almost at the same time playing for Brooklyn's Tap.
Yeah.
Is that right?
Yeah. So I was playing just like pub football, doing bits and bobs, and I knew the manager that went in at Southport. He asked me to come down and train, and he signed me from there. So things kind of moved really fast. I made my debut in the National League, did really well, and within a couple of months I was playing for England C. So things kind of did kickstart really fast.
I mean, that would be quite a contrast, I guess. England C, you're travelling abroad, representing your country.
Yeah.
Compared to playing for Brooklyn's Tap. I mean, how did that come about? Were you playing for a pal or something? Or?
It was just a bunch of friends.
Right.
I was actually playing up front for them.
Oh. Scoring goals?
Yeah, I was scoring quite a few. So.
And playing what, at a local park in Brooklyn?
Yeah, just around Brooklyn's way.
Yeah. So, but then you moved on from there, and you kind of really hit the heights. I mean, I wondered, you touched on it before about playing in the league with Mac. Do you almost sense there's a bit of unfinished business there, because the season you won the league with Mac, you played in every single league game. You got in the non-league paper Team of the Year at the end of the season. You're clearly on top of your game, and then of course all the off-field problems kind of disrupted things, didn't it?
Yeah, getting promoted was obviously massive. I think everyone else could see that we were the underdogs and kind of that kind of great story. But that summer, things kind of just fell apart. The manager left, new manager come in, ripped the squad apart, and the joy was kind of short-lived. It kind of went downhill quite fast. We did manage to obviously avoid relegation the first year, and then the second year was struck by COVID, and then the publicised demise kind of happened.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, it must have been a frustrating time when you were playing that well, and it must have been a bit of a dream getting a chance in the Football League and actually earning it by your own efforts and endeavours, and then to have it kind of snatched away like that.
Yeah, well, I was 28 when I first got into the league, so it was a long wait. But yeah, to get it snatched away, because if things had worked out right at Macclesfield, I could possibly still be there enjoying league football. But that's what it is, football.
You've only just turned 30, 31, so there's still time on your side. Is that a realistic dream, a realistic objective, coming here and aiming to get back up into the league?
Yeah, of course. I know people have said once you come out of the league, it's hard to get back in, but I still have them ambitions to do that, and I feel like this club could go there as well.
Just tell us a bit about the role you play, David, because it's a funny one in a way. If you think that like a striker goes out in any game thinking I'm going to score goals today, midfield player thinks if he's shielding the back four, that's what he does, or if he's further forward, he's linking the play and whatever. But if fullback, do you think, have I got a winger to look after today? Does that kind of make a difference to how you approach a game? If you know the opposition have got a winger who you're going to be directly up against?
Yeah, it comes down to the detail pre-match, isn't it? Like the analysis of the opposition and stuff like that. So you do know who you're going to be up against. And there's probably certain players in the league that you do keep an eye out for and know who you're going to be up against. But in general, no, I just kind of concentrate on my own game and what the team needs.
Yeah. Does that make it more difficult for you if you're up against if the team haven't got a winger? I guess you can just think well, play a part in building attacks or whatever. But it's like an extra responsibility in a way, I suppose, isn't it?
It can go either way. Sometimes it's good to be up against a man because that's your job. Sometimes it's more difficult when you don't have someone to mark because you get caught in and out of position. So yeah, it can go either way. Yeah.
What about what what LT fans can expect from you? Because the role probably has changed over a number of years. There was a time back in the day when a fullback had just kind of kicked the winger into row B or something, but increasingly you've got to add a bit more, haven't you? Yeah. Going forward, are you with wing backs as well as fullbacks? Are you comfortable in both sort of parts of the game?
I'd say a few years back I was probably slightly more attacking. Now I've probably settled into a more conventional fullback with the ability to go forward. I'd say my game's based on keeping possession and actually playing football because that's what I enjoy. Kicking it long is not kind of my game.
Well, that sounds tailor-made for this team. You probably know that. But I mean, if you've been tied up with Mac and Port Vale last season, I wonder how much have you been aware of what's happened at Altrincham since Phil Parkinson and Neil Sorvell took over?
Not too much, to be honest. I've spoke to a few people and they've kind of all come back with the same report saying that they like to play football, they get it down, and they're always trying to do that. Quite entertaining, so that kind of suits me down to the ground.
Yeah, and certainly last season we kind of surprised quite a few big teams with results. Certainly for the first half of the season, it shows what the club are capable of.
Yeah, well, I keep an eye out on Altrincham because it's a local side. So first half of the season, I could notice that you were right up there. Not too sure what happened second half of the season, but obviously you must have surprised some at the start.
Yeah, a Manchester lad, David?
Yeah, so born and raised around Stretford Way.
Right.
I live towards Sale now.
Yeah, so you're certainly at home in these surroundings.
Yeah, I used to work in Altrincham as well in an office. So
good stuff. Smashing, David. Thanks for your time and all the very best for the season coming up.
No problem. Thank you very much.